Hello, everybody. This is the long overdue part two of the national recap. This is sort of the show and the people part of it. I already did the cards because I wanted to get those put away right away. And the rest of the stuff has been sitting here in my way ever since. I think part of me has been putting this off because I didn't want to miss something and I didn't completely know what I wanted to say. And I knew that when I cut the video, I would end it and then remember something I wanted to include. But that's going to be true whether I do it now or a week from now or a month from now. So we're just going with it. Um, really just drinking in the last little bit of summer here. Gone in the last couple days, start setting up my classroom, but just enjoying these last couple weeks. Took an Aqua Sox game with my friend Brent, who you know as Star Huddle 77. We went to watch all the players the Mariners should have traded for Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and didn't. And watching the Mariners collapse. Got a new manager today. Mostly just token move to make it look like you're doing something, but that's been pretty depressing, actually. Dan Wilson's going to take over for Scott Service. And I told Brent in a text, well, that's too bad. I like Dan Wilson. Sort of a joke being that, eventually we'll be calling for Dan Wilson to be fired. That's just how managers work. But I don't know, to see a pitching staff do that great and still have losing records, it's extremely frustrating. Everyone's frustrated. But that's baseball, I guess. I don't know. They certainly could have done a lot more at the deadline. But they're going to hang that, 6 prospects in the top 100 banner there at Safeco somewhere, at T-Mobile Park somewhere. I don't know what it gets you, but it is what it is. Finished up a flooring project. Installed this snap together laminate floor in my house. It took parts of 2 years, but finished that about a week ago. And thank you, YouTubers, for getting me through that. Many live stream or recorded live stream or just whatever you had uploaded while I was doing that helped get me through it. A lot of work. This place is almost 3,000 square feet. Like I said, I didn't do it all at once, but even over 2 years, parts of 2 summers, that was something else. But this video, I wanted to really break into 3 parts. I want to talk about the city of Cleveland, the show itself, and then the people part, which is my favorite part. So Cleveland, a couple things. Got to do the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame on Sunday, which was cool. I was glad I did it. I wished I had slowed down and took my time a little more. But when you're doing something like that, you don't know how much you've seen and how much you haven't seen. And before I knew it, I found myself at the end of it. And either way, it was a cool thing to do. And I knew, I don't know if I'll ever be back in Cleveland, so I can say that I did it. I was really impressed with the traffic, maybe because my nearest big city is a Seattle Tacoma area, and the next nearest big city is the Portland area, and traffic there is just a constant parking lot. So anytime I go to any other city and traffic kind of moves, I'm impressed. So I guess I'm impressed by that. And food, the prices of stuff was real cheap. There was a really good takeout place right by our Airbnb called Big Bites, and it was a one-man show from what I could tell. This guy would take your order and then he'd start making your burger or whatever, and it was really good. But the first night I was there with the John 3D80s kid and Adam Vintage Sanctuary, and I got like the burger meal, and it was like $9. Something like that would have been 20 here. So I thought, hey, this is a pretty good deal. Stayed at what we decided to call the Frat House with like 15 other people. I'm sure you've heard about it in other videos. The luxury of the house might have been lacking in some ways, but it was still cool to be with a bunch of great other collectors and like-minded collectors, and we had a pretty big age range of people. And some of us were on couches and cots and bunk beds and this and that and the other, but we made it work. And I was just going to say, Chris, that futon was broke before you slept on it, so I'm gonna stick with that one. That was already broke. You didn't do that. And I wanted to specifically thank two people in the house. Joe for Soft Corners was basically my driver. There were other people with cars, but I just always hopped in with Joe because we're kind of like-minded. We wanted to get there early. We didn't want to dawdle. We wanted to, be on task, this, that, and the other. And so I just attached myself to him. And I still think it's crazy you can put your contacts in without a mirror. I don't know how you do that. I have to have a mirror. And to see someone else do that, I'll file that under special skills. Matt, the card story, and his family. Let me back up to Joe again. Joe's the one that called me, and after clearing up with everybody else, and invited me to become a part of this frat house crew. And I couldn't say yes fast enough because before that, I was going to be in my own Airbnb by myself. And I knew that that wasn't ideal. I would have done it if I had to have. But that was probably in June, maybe May. And immediately, yes, canceled my Airbnb, hopped on with them, and no regrets about that. Absolutely not. And anyway, and Matt was sort of the mastermind of the whole thing, put the initial payment out and deposit and all that stuff. And we reimbursed him. And his wife and kids were there, and they were a tremendous support just to everybody. If we needed something, she would go and get it. She had her own table kind of at the show where she would set up a home base, and we could stop by there and meet up with people or take breaks if we needed them. And it was cool. So the actual show, I don't know what I could say that hasn't already been said. The traffic thing was really only bad that first night, Wednesday night, when everybody left. And after that, it got increasingly better each time as they figured out how to manage that. And I don't think you're going to have something on this scale and scope without those kind of hiccups. So it was a little frustrating that first night. At one point, Joe and I literally did not move. His tires did not rotate for a full half hour. And we saw people driving over like the medians and curbs and stuff to try to get. Anyway, yes, it was frustrating. We were hungry. We were tired. I had to use the bathroom, like sort of when we left, but I'm like, I'll be fine. So, of course, the whole time we're stuck there. It's getting worse and worse. And at the end of the day, I survived it. And like I said, that got better throughout the week as they start figuring out, oh, let's send people around the building. Let's do this, that, and other ways to cut back on the problems. The only really the biggest downside for me was once I got to the show, I kind of felt trapped there because somebody without a car, and there's not a lot of other resources right by the convention center. There's not like a restaurant right there or a gas station right there or a grocery store right there. It's kind of all by itself. So once I was there, I sort of felt like, well, this is the rest of my day. And so that became a problem like later in the week when I wanted to do things more socially. I was handicapped in that. So like I said, anything on this scale and this scope, you're going to have things like that. But overall, any complaints I have are minimal compared to the complaint of not getting to go at all. So I still, even when I'm standing in the bathroom line, I've got a big smile on my face because I'm happy to be there. So talking about the people and some of the interactions now, the one thing I wanted to mention, if I forget everything else, is how cool the YouTube community is, because I can get a card I've been chasing and show it to somebody, And this could be a card they could easily buy anytime. Maybe they already own it. Maybe they already own a nicer copy of it. But they are just almost as excited for me as I am for myself to know that I got that card. And I can show them a, let's say a $200 card that I wanted and got. And they look at that and say, whoa, look at this card. You got that. That's a tremendous card. Here's what I like about it. And I sort of want to get this card from that set. And that's really cool, Eddie, and on and on and on. And I don't think you have that as much in the modern collecting realm or in other collecting realms. I think there's a little more FOMO or jealousy type of attitudes there. I could be wrong. But I know for myself, I'm happy to find out friends got cards they were after. I'm looking at Iconic Al's Cy Young autograph. I wasn't jealous at all. I wasn't thinking, oh, I wish it was me that had this. I was excited for him because it was such a cool thing. And to see his reaction and tell the story about how there's like a letter on the inside of it. And it's cool. And that's one thing that's really, really great about the YouTube vintage sports card collecting and community. So, yeah, I was going to say the other thing that I was really not happy about, but people continue to give their condolences to me for my brother's passing, which means a lot to me. It's starting to sound, I don't know, it's been several months now instead of just one or two, but I still do appreciate that people are thinking of me. I'm healing about like you would expect. And I'm glad that people are thinking of me and care about me. It means a lot to me when you say that. So thank you. It's meaningful to me. I really appreciate it. I even had a few people confide in me that they had lost loved ones recently. They didn't necessarily share it on their channel because they didn't think it was appropriate. And I got to share sort of how I grieved or what I've learned from my experience with them. And I hope that was helpful to them. The Thursday meetup was really cool. I had a couple fanboy moments. When I saw Nate Tops 85401, I immediately dropped what I was doing, had to go over and say hi and make it a point to meet him because I dig his channel. We don't really collect the same thing. But what I've always appreciated about him most is just his passion and joy for collecting. And that's something that I hope I have and I hope comes across in my videos, because if I don't enjoy this, why am I doing it? Another kind of moment where I'm like, hey, I got to make sure I meet this person. John Keating was there. And actually I grabbed, my understanding is he was responsible for these napkins. So I had to grab the Herb Washington napkin, and I did. And there were several others that are kind of fun like this. But I didn't know that I wanted to bring them all back with me. It was a miracle that one made it back. And John and I had a great discussion that transcended sports card collecting. But it was about how, it's YouTube that ties us together, but these other things that makes us human and really builds relationships. And I only briefly got to meet Garrett Card Cutter, but that was another person I wanted to make sure, hey, thank you for running Slab City. Thank you for doing Card Cutter. Thanks for making content, being an autograph guy, just everything. He just seems like a cool guy, somebody I always wanted to meet. So I went out of my way to make sure that I could. So I wanted to show off some of the kind of goodies I got here. I'm going to start, I hope, with the Frat House people over here, if I have this separated out right. But Chris from Missouri was a Frat House friend, and I finally got one of the hats. Very nice. I wanted one the whole time, but he didn't offer it till Thursday night. I was getting nervous. But now that I have it, it's going nowhere. I got some cards from Joe for Soft Corners. And I looked at these at the show and have since forgot mostly what's in here. Another benefit of doing this. Logan Gilbert, great example of a player whose year is basically wasted. But I digest. Mariners team card, gold. Love me some gold. I'm trying to decide which side is the best to show cards on. That photo was taken after they clinched a playoff berth in 2022, which already sounds like 10 years ago, and they've wasted a lot of their goodwill. Lou Rock will appreciate this one. Edgar Martinez. I know he's a big fan. Wink. There are far worse Hall of Famers than Edgar Martinez, I promise you. Little Brooks, numbered to 99. Love these. Of all the modern sets, the stuff that comes out of packs, I think I like these the best. And when they get to 56, if they do it right, maybe I build a modern set. I don't know. Don't quote me. Another Logan Gilbert. This one's chrome over here. And the base. And my boy, about to hit his 30th of the year and become the Mariners' all-time home run catcher at record. Mariners' all-time home run career leader at catcher, Cal Raleigh. Here's a Bruce Bochy. That is not Bruce Bochy. I've heard people say that. It's a different person. Bruce Bochy. Knuckleball pitcher, Joe Niekro. Another Logan Gilbert. Pardon me. Boxing card, Sullivan, John L. Sullivan. Alan Ginter, don't have that. I do have a couple other cards of his. And this is really cool, an SI for Kids, Billie Jean King. And I just discovered she's doing some TTM signing, not super consistent. And I want to send to her, but I don't want to send this because Joe gave it to me. So I ordered like a Chrome 2021 Topps Chrome that should be here in a couple days, and I am going to send that because I don't want to lose that. This represents a pack battle that I lost. A lot of us in the house drew clean cheap shots, gave out these 88 Topps packs, and we promised to eat the gum if we did not pull a Hall of Famer. Check out his channel if you want to see whether I had to eat the gum. But I will say he gave me the Alvin Davis out of his pack, because I mentioned I was a Alvin Davis fanboy. John, 3D 80s kid, picked him up at the airport, and he was in the same room as me. We were in the same room. How does that sound? I'm not going to do any editing today, or very little anyway. And he gave everyone in the house Mr. Rogers in an SGC slab. And it was all, they were all in envelopes, and we all did a reveal at the same time. So go back and watch his first video if you want to know why this card is special to him. But now I got my own, and it's special to me. I mentioned Matt already. The last full day I was there, I believe Saturday evening, he pulls out a box with a bunch of SGC stuff in it. Stuff that most people easily could have resold for several $100s, but he starts giving stuff away. And he gave me this cool Aaron Griffey gold label card. Love that. And he didn't know I was a Harvey Haddix man, but I just happened to be. And so I got that as well. Just couldn't stop him from giving stuff away. So at the meetup, met Victor, the rookie card specialist. Talked about his book a little bit. I'm going to be ordering that very shortly. Brian, High Pop Professor. I still can't decide which side to hold these up on. Almost had me buying a cool Griffey and a Randy Johnson auto he had there. And I showed a little interest and he kept dropping the price on me. And I was so close, but I still wanted to be very protective of my funds at that time. So he almost got me. And that reminds me to mention, and this is pretty upsetting, I lost the card that Iconic Al gave me. I haven't seen it anywhere. A lot of you have seen his customs, the T205 with the cool, like weathered, with the wear and everything. And because it's smaller, it must have slipped out of my hand or something. And I'm pretty disappointed about it. Rocket Rick J, I got both of his cards, that one and that one. Very cool. Saw him at a table down in the VIP area when we were taking a break. About an hour before we went up on the first Wednesday, John Wade Boggs fan gave me his card. And of course, another thing I appreciate about YouTubers is a lot of us seem to have this similar kind of sense of humor where it's kind of the gentle kind of cut up, but done from like a loving place. And of course, when this was given out immediately, people wanted, Wade Boggs autograph on it, so it might be worth something, or talk about cutting John out, so it would have some value. And anyway, that's just the kind of thing. Yep. Did Four Leafs finder's fee thing there. Kept that card. A lot of people don't keep those, and he'll remind you that you're supposed to. Dom pulled this card, Steven Sports, and said, I knew who I was going to give it to right when I pulled it. And I love it because of that. And I love it because the player on it. And not to belabor the point, but if you go look at the Mariners pitching stats this year, well, you won't. Anyway, I promise you would be as upset as everybody around here if you saw what was going on. So George Kirby All-Star Stitches, number to 99. And it just happens to be from the year, last year, the game was in Seattle. So you have the Seattle skyline, a Seattle player, and somebody I've met in person several times when he was coming up through the system. Love watching him pitch. So, very cool thing. Sammy was giving these out at the Thursday meetup. And he also had like his other cards sitting out, like his Transitgram. And I was like, hey, how about one of those too? And then he got distracted. He said, hold on. He got distracted, never got back to me. So, I don't know, man. I thought Sammy dug me. Whatever. He got busy. He's a popular guy. Dylan gave me a sticker, and this is supposed to be a coaster. But I'm like, I'm not going to put like a drink on that and ruin it. And like, no way. So it'll go into the YouTuber collection with everything else. Scott gave me some stuff here, of course. The Mossy card, which was fun to see. Mossy in action. Love his shorts. I like the one where he's quoted $5 for one of his cards. And he says, how about $6? He paid up for it. The Campy custom, which is iconic image there. Beautifully done. Harper. Love that one. That's from the Diamond Kings. If I Did Diamond Kings, which is what that Julio is from right there, by the way. Let's see. Scott gave me this, which I purchased from him, and I left it in the little team bag here because it said Eddy's number 1. Leaving that there. And then he also gave me the kid part of this. And then about a week after I got back, I got the man part. So I got those together. And then he also gave me the 87 Topps Tiffany, Alvin Davis. Thank you, Scott. One more thing here on the floor. Might have been the first day. Vintage Composer. Mike, one of my favorite guys, found me, and we did like a little tiny thing for his channel, which I flubbed up because I couldn't figure out what he was going to go for, even though it should have been obvious. And he gave me this Mariners, this Griffey set called Front Row Clubhouse Series. And I said, do you know how infrequently I see something from this era that's Mariners that I've never seen before? And I said, you've stumped me because I've never seen these, but they're all Griffey. They're all different cards, different poses. And so I'm trying to figure out if they're licensed. I don't see any. Yeah, they are dual licensed. But that was really cool. And then he also gave me a little hard case here, which if I mess up too much, I'll have to edit. Nah, I got it. I got it. No edits for you. Let's see. I got an Ichiro Heritage, black and white. Very nice. I got a Yount with the autograph, of course. And he remembers me saying that I like Darrell Evans when I first became a baseball fan. It was one of the players I really gravitated toward. I never became like a super collector or anything. But Darrell Evans, he's a cool guy. And so is Mike, a vintage composer. Let's see what else. I do have some notes here. I had some other great conversations. Hitman 23, I sent him a care package this last spring. And in the comments, he said, when I see you at the National, I'm going to give you a big bro hug. And so he held to his word. He about broke my neck. We had a big bro hug on the floor. And I ran into him a couple times. And my favorite interaction, we were sitting in the VIP lounge, and he was updating his set checklist. And I think I was getting some food or something. And we just had to talk about like parenting older kids in their 20s, and some of the kind of challenges and unique things that come up when you're in that part of your life. And it was just great to like sort of have those conversations. You can't have them with everybody. Jake, Legends Never Die. I need something to drink here. I'm starting to trip over my words. Legends Never Die. Found me right before he was about to leave, and we just had a great conversation about life and death and faith, and meant a lot to me that he went out of his way to do that. So, man, I wish we lived closer to a lot of people. But we have the internet, we have YouTube, we have text, we have phones. Some other fun meetings or conversations or people that I met at the Friday get together at the restaurant that was hosted by Ash and Midlife Cards. I finally met Will, who is a Brooks Robinson super collector. I met him and his brother Kemper, and that was really cool because we just both got to talk about why we like Brooks Robinson so much and trying to get him to make some content to kind of share his collection more. And I did see that he did a live with somebody, which I'm about halfway, or maybe about a third of the way through. So I need to go revisit that to see what he was able to add. Mookie Chilson, I ran into him quite a bit. Pete from 50/50 Vintage. Greg, Midlife Sports Cards. Drew, Vintage Legacy. Scoots Collectibles. Big Scott. I wish I sold him some TTMs, and a lot of these people I thought I was going to see. Math Bowler's another one. Like I thought I would see more, and so it's like, well, we'll talk more later, and then never saw him again. Hodges, Brian, saw him at the meetup, and yeah, that was sort of the theme. Is like, hey, I'm seeing you now, and I want to ask you about something, or talk more, but we'll do that next time. And then maybe you didn't see him again. And I got to admit, when I got back, I had really the Monday and the Tuesday, sort of like a depression, not because it was over necessarily, but I started seeing uploads of all these people that were there. Like, I had no idea. I would have loved to have gone out of my way to say hi to you. And I guess it's just hard to do it all. It's I don't know that you can meet everybody, but I'm thinking name tags or I don't know, it sounds kind of lame, but man, especially newer channels, like you don't always put the face or the name right away or the voice. But yeah, I think one thing I wish I could do over again, at least from the social thing, was the other thing I noticed when I got back and I started watching uploads is like people said, "Oh, we went here and hung out, or we had lunch together, or we did this and that." And I was like, man, I would have loved to have gone in on that, but maybe I'm just not good enough at saying, "Hey, we're going to have lunch together today and we're going to meet at this place." And like I would have had to Uber there or something or hop in with somebody. But at least I would have got more social interactions other than 2 minutes at a time on the floor. The other thing that was my fault is I would run into somebody and I was so focused on my methodology of like hitting every table, especially the first 2 days, that I'd talk for a few minutes, then I'd say, "Hey, I'm going to get back to my little chore here of making sure I see everything." And then I later realized I would have been better off hanging out with the people because that is now what my channel and my collecting is about. Sorry, I got interrupted there a little bit. Um, Basically, starting to rant at this point. There was one conversation I wanted to save kind of for last because it wasn't, I don't know, the most interesting is not fair because they were all interesting, but it was this weird moment where someone that I didn't know knew me. And I think it was Friday, late, late morning on Friday. I'm looking at someone's case and I get from my left side a "hello, everybody." So I turn and it's kind of a younger guy, maybe late 20s, early 30s, glasses. And I thought, well, this is somebody I must have met Thursday evening and just can't place who it is. So I'm like, "Hey, buddy," you know how you do that. And after a couple seconds, he let me off the hook and said, "My name's Kent and I watch your videos." And he says he's watched every one, which I have no reason not to believe. And he knows me from sportscollectors.net, which I'm still a member of, but I was very active there before I started doing YouTube stuff. And he used to do spring training consignments, and I would always consign with him because he was straight up hustler. He could get a lot of stuff done. And he revealed to me he's working for JSA now, slabbing things for CGC or CCG or whatever they're called. And so he's just on a break because he's down in the basement, authenticating autographs and slapping them up, during most of the show. And it was just really cool because here's somebody that doesn't comment and I didn't know it was there, but in a roundabout way, he let me know he was there. And it was really cool. Kind of a full circle moment here, just to bring us home on this super short, quick video. That evening, Friday evening, that might have been the next evening. Anyway, one evening, we're at the Frat House. We're watching everybody's first video on YouTube. And in the first video, I have a consignment return. And in the upper right-hand corner, you can see is written Doggle and his numbers. I always forget the numbers when people have numbers with their names. So in my very first video was a consignment return from Kent, who I met at the show, and here we were watching this video. So I wouldn't say a small world moment, but that's kind of cool, like connecting stuff that happens in the hobby all the time that I just love. So that's it. I'm about to hit stop on this and think of like 5 other people I should have mentioned. But just know that if I interacted with you, I think you're a good dude because I haven't met a bad one yet in the YouTube community. So I appreciate that. I appreciate you. Until next time, remember, we don't count subscribers, we count friends.